First, though, after securing a trade deal with the USA, are you thinking, wait a minute, there's something about Keir Starmer. This guy's winning me over. Earlier in the week, Trump teased a major trade deal with a big and highly respected country, so we obviously thought that wasn't us. But yes, he was talking about the UK, and it means that we're the first to reach an agreement with the States since the whole tariff thing from Trump. Starmer and Trump spoke about how great it is during a televised call yesterday.
A historic step. The deal includes plans that will bring the United Kingdom into the economic security alignment with the United States. We feel very, very comfortable with that because it's been a great ally, truly one of our great allies. I mean, a lot of people say our greatest ally. I don't want to insult people by saying that, but I can say it's certainly one of our greatest and right at the top.
That close relationship has endured over those 80 years. As you know, Donald, when it comes to defence and security and intelligence sharing, of course, there are no two countries that are closer than our two countries.
Well, I was thinking we could use AI to try to show what's happening here. So let me try and dictate an instruction. So AI, create image of Keir Starmer wrestling Donald Trump. Yeah, but Donald Trump is wearing armour. OK, we got it. Right, let's see. See what they can do, because AI images are kind of amazing. So here we go. Well, there we are. Is this what the tariff deal was, the so-called deal? Basically an unfair wrestling match. Remember Trump's line to Solanki where he said, you don't have the cards, you don't have the cards. So he's in a much stronger position than we are. What's happened here, actually? Let's look at the width of the Atlantic, shall we, with them on one side and us on the other. And if we shrink it, we bring both countries into focus. So USA, UK, and we will now look at the sum of the goods affected by this new trade deal. So steel, first of all, and it's good news on steel coming from the UK to the USA, 25% tariff removed. The aluminium, 25% tariff removed by the States. That's good work by Britain. They then cut the tariff from 27.5% to 10% for the first 100,000 cars each year that move from Britain to the USA. And regarding beef, when we sell them beef and they sell us beef, you essentially have a kind of equitable zero tariff arrangement. So that frees up both beef markets. They're quite small, though. Doesn't include chicken, by the way. Chicken is controversial because of chlorinated chicken in the USA. That cork you can see there, we'll see what this bottle is. It is ethanol. And one little kink inside this agreement is that they can now sell ethanol to the UK without a tariff on it. So that's a win for the USA. The trouble is, let's just freeze this whole thing. When the USA announced this, they've got their own domestic market as well. So they showed a graphic that wasn't any part of what Keir Starmer was saying. And they said, look, if you look at the UK tariffs on American goods, they were 5.1%. We've brought them down. So that's Keir Starmer's done that as a favour to Donald Trump. US tariffs were 3.4% before Trump. And now for almost everything, apart from the things I mentioned, are at the 10% level that was put on by Trump as part of his tariff war. So this is Faisal Islam, BBC guy, who says this is Lutnick's chart in the White House. That's what the White House are telling Americans. They're saying, we won this one. And Anju, maybe it is. We'll go right back to the beginning. It's the wrestling match where the other guy's got a suit of armour on.
I think let's take it and have a celebratory moment as to this historic deal that Sir Keir Starmer has managed to strike.
It's a win.
It is a win. We have strengthened our global standing this week with two of the world's largest economies. We have managed to reaffirm allyship, which is important. The headline news from this, let's face it, when Liberation Day came upon us, it was a choice of damage limitation. So what best scenario can you get for us as a country? And from the headline news, Sir Keir Starmer has protected some of the largest exports from us going out of the UK.
So steel, aluminium, cars, good news for us, for sure.
There's 200,000 employees in the automotive sector, protecting jobs there. We've talked a lot about job losses and things like that. So he's provided a lifeline to particular industries. We need to iron out the detail. But let's take this moment and just, as the British public, be celebratory.
Are you saying the same?
Well, I'm not going to be churlish about this because I think it's great to have trade deals with the US and with India. India is soon going to be the third biggest economy in the world. America's the biggest economy in the world. And I also think Kemi Badenoch shot herself in the foot by saying, well, yes, but, the tariffs are still higher now than before Keir Starmer came
Well, let's just have a look at that tweet.
Into
The issue
government.
is, when Labour negotiates, Britain loses. We cut our tariffs. America tripled theirs. Keir Starmer called this historic. It's not historic. We've just been shafted.
She's very disgruntled.
Yeah, but my point there is Donald Trump changed the world and we had to respond to the change in the world.
Yeah.
And we've come out of it very well compared to every other country in the world. Now, I'm delighted that the Scottish whisky industry is going to be able to sell millions of barrels of whisky to America now. They're virtually free of tariffs. I'm glad the cars, luxury cars that we produce in this country are going to be sold over there. Steel and aluminium's very small, but again, it's a good thing. But I have a caveat here, and the caveat is I believe that Keir Starmer is a very poor Prime Minister of this country. I believe he's very badly damaged our economy. Rachel Reeves, his Chancellor, has literally destroyed a lot of the retail business in this country with national insurance increases and taking the winter fuel allowance away.
No, I know. That is
damaging.
That's, for a lot of viewers, that is the downside. So we're kind of asking, has this made up for it? Let's get Jamie in Somerset. Do you think Keir Starmer's now redeeming himself, Jamie?
No, because I was just saying to research your producer that for me personally, he's done so many U-turns with everything else, like welfare benefit and other topics, that I think he's just going to do a U-turn on the trade deal. If I'm being completely honest,
so funny when you spoke.
I don't have a height.
I thought it was Keir Starmer on the phone. Did anyone have the same thing? Like, Jamie, you sound exactly like him. I thought Keir Starmer was ringing up to call for his own resignation.
I don't want to be.
So, but this is big, though, Jamie, isn't it? And he seems to be the kind of person other people like.
I think they're blind.
Blind.
Because personally, like I've said already, I think he's done so many U-turns with other topics. I just think he's going to do a U-turn with a trade deal. Yes, I agree that he's done what he's done and everyone likes him. Fair enough. But personally, I don't have a high. I've never liked Labour anyway. But I mean, with Keir Starmer, I agree with. I've forgotten what the male panelist is called. But I agree with him. I agree with him about I understand. Yeah, in a way, he wasn't the one that when he said about Keir Starmer's damage our economy. I agree, but if you think about it, the Conservatives damaged it first, and they're picking up the pieces, so they've damaged it even more.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Thank you so much for calling and watching. After the break, we're taking more of your calls on Starmer. Is he finally winning you over? 0207, about a year after the election as well. 0207 862 2222. See you shortly. But now let's go back to whether Starmer securing a trade deal with Trump has convinced you he's a good Prime Minister. And Anju saying, this is good. Let's not pick it apart on day one. We're the first in the gate. Tony in Hampshire, can we rejoice about this?
Hello there. Yeah,
Hello.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can. It does make me smile, and with Mike, where he went on to say, not to be churlish about this, and then he dropped a few positives and then just went into a barrage of anti.
Tony, to be honest, I was only pointing out the track record.
Yeah, but you just got upset about 95 bridesmaids as well. I mean, you're obviously having a bad Friday.
Hang on. The track record of the Prime Minister so far, in terms of how he's handling the economy, is disastrous. Businesses are closing down on the high street. The hospitality industry, pubs, are under threat. We're in a disastrous.
But we're trying to just look at this one thing and say, is this good news? You think it's good news, Tony? You don't worry that the Americans are selling it as, we've got one over on the Brits?
Well, I think the Americans got one over on everyone for a certain amount of time. And I think we just have to go back to think where we were and where we were a few weeks ago and where we are now. And these are positive gains. There's room for improvement, perhaps. But, I think it's the fact that we're getting spoken about as a nation more respectfully now. I think, Starmer has not been perfect in any way, but, he has played, a bit of a blinder, really, in terms of, to just bring in this crazy character around.
I've said, thank you, Tony. I've said this before. This sounds weird, but I've met a number of Prime Ministers over the years. I think that Starmer is the most likeable person.
I think he's one of the most unlikable.
Yeah, but you're going by policies. I'm not talking about... I'm just saying when you're in a room with him, he seems like a normal bloke. That's all.
Diplomatic. And actually, we needed some of that
well,
diplomacy.
It helped with Trump because look at what happened to Zelensky. Poor old Zelensky.
Exactly. But we haven't mentioned yet the fact that until 3 days ago, the word Brexit would stick in Keir Starmer's throat because he hated Brexit so much. He's now coming out as the champion of Brexit.
Well, this is what
we
I
couldn't
wonder,
have done this
Anju,
without Brexit.
We'll definitely be coming to this in the coming days, Anju, but this is starting to make Brexit look like a stroke of genius, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Look, he has, and we have inherited Brexit. We haven't done anything with it, let's face it. And under Sir Keir Starmer, we've actually seen two very significant opportunities for us. We've got negative...
one as well, yeah.
India one as well. India one was a huge win, and
we
unfortunately...
may get, apparently next week, a deal with the European Union.
Well, yeah, but if he does, that then will put a question mark over the American deal. He's got to get away from the European Union. He loves the European Union. It's in his blood and in his soul, but he's got to tell them, no, we've got the deal with America. I'm not doing any deals with you.
Janet in Leeds, is this good for Starmer?
Absolutely not. Trump is just a puppet master. Sir Keir is just one of his little puppets. The picture that you had of them with Trump as a knight and Sir Keir boxing should be with Sir Keir being held down by Trump with one foot on his tummy like a little puppy.
Okay, well, we can get AI to do that if you want as well. I mean, they could do anything. But, I mean, it's fair to say that, isn't it? Because Trump has got the armour, Anju, and Starmer's just wearing a pair of trunks.
Look, I think the question, Janet, I have is what would have been the best outcome here? Trump is the president. He is the one that is, calling the shots. But what would have been the best outcome, Janet, in your eyes?
Sorry, I'm not sure of the name of the lady in red there, but she's obviously
Anju.
a Labour person. All we hear is we've inherited. Do something, for goodness sake. Do something about the immigrants coming in. The whole country is in absolute tears over what is happening. We don't know where we're going. Nobody trusts anybody.
That's why we're discussing this, though, Janet. We're thinking, like, we've got a little crumb of comfort here. This has got... Yesterday was a good day, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, because we're worse off. How can we say
That's it.
was...
We're worse off. We're worse off than we were a year ago, but better off than we were a month ago.
We cannot say that because we cannot price in things like the attractiveness that we have as a country for FDI, which is foreign direct investment, which is, countries like the US, India, looking at us now more attractively and investing in us from a company perspective. That is going to create opportunities.
Let's just go down the call. Yep. Sylvia in Durham, we need your firm word on this. Good day for Britain yesterday?
I will never trust this man as long as I'm put on this earth.
Which one? Sorry, there's two men in the story. Which one? Trump?
Right, no. Sir Keir Starmer. I am a total and utter devoted Labour supporter. Yeah. I have supported for them all my life. And I am thoroughly ashamed I voted for Keir Starmer now. Him and his Chancellor has ripped this country apart in this very short period of time they've been in there.
Wow.
We always complain about the Conservatives, but they did no worse than what these people are doing. Okay. As soon as someone else is in power and doing something for the most vulnerable and, there for the grace of God, go I.
Yeah, give me one quick answer. Right. Yes or no, Sylvia, will you consider voting reform at the next election?
Yeah.
No, was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Yes! Thank you. I thought all right. Thank you, Sylvia. Whew. Tell you what, we got through some topics there.